Good morning, good evening, wherever you are, depending on that. Sagittarius, so happy to see you today. Really excited to bring through the messages as well. We'll be looking at the month of September here. And really, this forecast will help you with the next 6 to 8 weeks. So many of the messages may resonate at the beginning, particularly as we go through the channeled messages. Apollo just woke up, sending you lots of love here as well. Just got his haircut, so I thought I would bring him up for a couple minutes here as we get started. If you haven't been here before, my name is Nicholas Ashbaugh, and I have a unique way of sort of looking at everything. We're not going to just use cards. Like I said at the beginning, I'll be tapping into intuition, working with messages that I received in dreams and meditations, and also in my automatic writing. So I'll talk a little bit about that in just a second. Then I'll use the Celtic Cross and the tarot cards to show you the opportunities in front of you. And I'm a big proponent of free will. So what I'm trying to do for you is kind of lay out a roadmap. We'll let that center spread take on whatever form that it needs to. And then after we do that, we're going to dig a little bit deeper into the areas that I know that you care about, which includes health, wealth, love, and destiny. That'll be in the expanded forecast. After that, we'll go a little bit deeper into something that I call the soul path. And as we start to look at all of the cards in front of us, usually it becomes apparent to me certain areas that need a little bit more time or energy or a little bit of work and finesse. And that's what we're going to be focusing on in the soul path. And then we'll do a meditation together to heal, to integrate the messages. And we'll pull a final card at the end for one of your questions that you might have for me. So please do save your questions until the end, and you can just ask that silent question. And plus, I'm probably going to answer a lot of them here today. This is a general reading, so I'm not going to go through all the signs. It is for Sagittarius, like the title says. And again, you can use it for the next 6 to 8 weeks. If you want to look at the messages specifically for August, all of those messages are already live on my channel. All right, let's get started here. Just a couple of notes as I'm beginning. I want to say thanks and welcome to all the new channel members. And I see we got a brand new person here that just joined. If you want to show support as I do the live reading, you can do that by clicking on this icon, which is used for super chat and super stickers. Just a way to show love and say thanks. If you happen to be catching this on replay, there's a thanks button right by share, and you can also do it there. It'll leave a sticker, and it will leave how much you gave as well. So thank you so much. These are optional ways to show support, so no pressure, but it does allow me to do more readings, and I've actually started to add in an extra reading per month because I'm going to do Sunday collectives. Speaking of which, we'll be having one coming up this weekend. For those of you that are channel members or Patreon supporters, you have a chance to vote on it. So I'll probably be adding those topics in a couple of days. If you like what you see today, I only mentioned this a couple of times. You can hit the thumbs up or the subscribe button if you haven't already subscribed. It helps other people to discover this channel. All right, let's get into the reading today. Thanks for being patient as I kind of get through the initial portion there. Today, I was inspired to talk about something that's ancient, but sort of everywhere, and we take it for granted. So let me pull up an image of what I'm going to talk about, and then let's talk about it a little bit. So I'm sure all of us have walked through the forest, or if you're a gardener, you've seen this around and you don't give it a second thought because it's everywhere, basically. But we're going to talk about moss today. And here we go. It's so beautiful. For those of you that live in damper climates, especially if you're in Ireland, I'm sure you see more of this than maybe people that are in drier areas. But moss is beautiful. Moss is everywhere. It's simple, but it's just such a, I feel like it's a beautiful sort of like ground cover here on this planet here. So just a couple of different images of moss. And now we're going to geek out on how moss is such an important part of this planet. So it was the first plant to be on the surface of the planet, and it evolves from algae. And its cousins would be lichen and liverworts. They're all the same sort of simple life form, but it came from algae. So long before conifers, which are like pine trees, which was like, I think, the first type of tree that was on the planet, we had the simple moss that was starting to cover the surface and to colonize the planet. One of the cool things about moss is it aids in reducing sort of the carbon energy right now on the planet almost as much as the trees, because it can grow in areas that the trees aren't, or we deforested so much that we're probably depending on moss a little bit more than we did before. It's a very helpful form of life on this planet. So that plus grass kind of helps quite a bit because we need something to offset what we're putting out there in the universe. Also, some geeky facts about this. It is ancient. It's over 450 million years old. Again, it's been through almost every climate change that we've had. It's been through every sort of life form that's been on this planet. Dinosaurs probably walked on some moss. So listen, this is old stuff here. There's between 10 to 25,000 species. It lives on every continent, even in Antarctica. And I want to show some of this. And it also prevents erosion. It's actually, no matter how you slice it, it's a pretty positive life form here. And I was surprised. I had to look that up. I'm like, is it really on every I was like, how about the Antarctica? And indeed, there's some frozen, I guess you would call this an extremely very hardy form of life, but it can live in these icy regions. It's starting to die there because that variety, because we're having global warming and it's heating up. So certain varieties are starting to die, but even in those cold climates, it had evolved to basically live on permafrost and ice. And I think that's fascinating. So in fact, it is on all the main continents. Anywhere that can sustain regular life, it exists. And another fun fact, and we're going to get to this in a second, but I want to put the iPad to the side. It was actually used as a bandage and an antibiotic or antibacterial during World War II. This is an image from the Smithsonian website. And so it was used for treating wounds. So some really cool stuff with this simple form of life that I think most of us have walked by and probably wouldn't give a second thought to as it's growing on the tree. They are very grounded, but they're also not deeply grounded. They have a shallow, not a real root system. It's called like a rhizoid, not even a rhizome. But they're still a symbol of grounding or needing to be grounded because they grow on rocks, tree branches, trees as well, the ground itself, basically almost any surface where it's damp, but a lot of it's on the ground. The fact that they have shallow roots, however, tells me that there's not a lot holding them in place. So it's kind of oxymoronic. So they're grounded, but not really grounded. So what you want to focus on is going a little bit deeper in your own personal practice of grounding yourself, right? And you want to focus on self-care. Self-care is super important this month because I think that sometimes we put ourselves in that like on the back shelf or second or third from everyone else. And when that happens, sometimes we get sick. Sometimes we just aren't paying attention to the things in our own life that we need to be prepared, to be grounded, to be supported. And in this particular case, the important thing is that, especially if you're a caretaker, if other people rely on you, it's so important for you to take care of yourself so that you can continue to be that source of sustaining energy for them as well, okay? If you just happen to join, this is a general reading. We start with psychic downloads first. We don't just look at the cards here on this channel, so I like to kind of connect with my guides and with nature totem, so I'm talking about that nature totem. Without that physical and mental health right now, that also can put your grounding off. So sometimes we think of health just as sort of what's going on in your body. Emotional, physical, and I would say mental health as well. You need to kind of get those things into balance. Otherwise, you're apt to overreact, make a mistake, sometimes even lose your balance or something like that. So I really want you to focus on grounding for those reasons. And it's not just sort of like your body and planting yourself in a yoga pose. We're talking about how healthy are you? How happy are you? And also mental health. How are you feeling on the inside and mentally? Spend some extra time getting situated, making sure that you've done your homework and your research, because people will sometimes look to you and see how confident you are, how sure you are. And if you show a little bit of uncertainty or you waver in your confidence, this is where they can kind of get in under the surface there again, because as we're looking at the totem of moss, it's everywhere, but it has these very shallow roots. So we need to make sure that you are more grounded this month so that you have that capacity to reach your highest potential, right? Okay. Let's look at the next piece here. It says, you can't predict everything, even in intuitive. What happens a lot of times with intuition is you don't always get the timing. You don't always get the degree or the specific energy. It's sort of showing you like, hey, this is something you need to focus on. So know that no matter how psychic or how awake you are, there's still going to be some happy surprises, some interesting twists and turns. So just do your best to prepare and then trust that your third eye is going to lead you through those twists and turns as they happen. Life wouldn't be fun if we got the entire manual of everything that was going to happen. It would just be boring. It would be like a book where you know the ending. So there are surprises, for intuitives included. So just try to do your homework, be prepared, and trust yourself. Trust that you're going to make the best decision in the moment. Otherwise, you go into that Two of Swords indecision energy, and that can be something that holds you back from having fun and experiencing things. So you're never going to know everything, but you know enough, and you're going to be able to sort through this, and that's the message here with that as well. As a life form, moss in general is a simple plant form, and it doesn't have what we would call vascular tissue, which are the things that you would see that would create traditional roots, stems, and flowers. It's just this very small, it kind of is all together, basically. The simplicity of it, however, has allowed it to live for 450 million years. So there sometimes is something very powerful about simplification. So this month, I want you to do less, but do it better. Rather than putting yourself and pulling yourself in all of these different situations and directions, focus on one, maybe two things and do them amazingly well, and then get to the next thing. Basically, don't spread yourself too thin. So for this, we would see like Two of Pentacles and Seven of Cups energy coming through, Seven of Swords as well. Seven of Swords is sometimes overcommitting, not just about trying to get away with something, but sometimes we know what we need to do, but we're afraid to say the truth. And so don't be afraid to. Seven of Cups can be that you're so distracted that you can't focus because you're doing all of this. Seven of Wands, because you're afraid to let go, because you're defending your turf. And then the Two of Pentacles, because you have to make a choice. So all of those cards rushed into my head as I was thinking about how you could be better at saying no, at doing one thing, finishing it, and doing a really good job at that. As I said here, there's healing properties with this totem. We don't have to geek out too much on it, but like I said, it was used for dressing wounds in the First World War. Focus on healing yourself. And because this was used to help others, focus on healing others in your life. So relationships and internal health, you absolutely have a chance to make that feel better. And the fact that this covers things, we can go one more level and say, you almost need to peel the layer back and look at what's beneath it. Because sometimes it's so covered up that you wouldn't even realize that there's, a rock underneath all of that. So let's see what's beneath the surface. Don't be afraid to dig a little bit deeper. Digging deeper is what's necessary because, again, it's a grounding totem, but it's a shallow totem. So I want you to make sure that you're really putting your roots in, really getting to the bottom of things, and not just doing the sort of topical treatment when it comes to happiness, when it comes to anything in general. Now, because this spreads across the planet, I didn't even write this down, but this is something that's coming to me in the moment. I really do think networking is key. And I've been talking about this a bit lately, but I want to reemphasize it with you. Your network, your friends, your coworkers, the people around you that you count on. I really want you to make sure that you're spending some time to reinvest and reinvigorate that sort of network because it'll become increasingly important to you. And as you're starting to look at new opportunities, especially, you want to make sure that that network is there. Let's see here. I like that this, although it's a grounded sort of totem, it depends on the element of air to survive. So it uses spores, and spores need the air to live. It also needs water. A lot of times these spores need to mix with water. So I didn't have a chance to write that down, but we'll talk about that in a second. The air piece I want to focus on first. The fact that basically those spores will spread in the wind tells me that in order for you to get to the next big thing, you may need to sort of focus on outreach. So this would be the energy of the world, expansion. It's Six of Swords, actually, in particular, or 10 of Wands. You need to move, or the Fool, move, travel. Sometimes it's back and forth, but go beyond your own backyard. Go beyond the traditional borders. If you're looking for love, for relationships, for personal growth, all of this is probably going to be not necessarily next door, not necessarily at work, but it might be outside of your traditional circle, which is why I wanted you to network, because you might make those conduits, those connections that are necessary to bring in that sort of new growth, that new expansion. So don't be afraid when it's safe again to travel, or in the interim to make sure that you're trying to use social media, for instance, to kind of get your message across to another country or to another time zone or to another place that you normally wouldn't reach. For businesses especially, you want to be networking in both traditional and non-traditional ways. A lot of times when I do a coaching session with a client, they'll say, well, I'm no good at social media. Well, nobody's good at anything until they start to learn it. So give yourself a chance or hire a good person to help you with that. It's going to be important to be able to really grow and get to the next level. Some of you that are students may want to eventually study abroad. Some of you that are just living your everyday life may have this sort of wanderlust, this desire to travel that's starting to kind of well up in your heart, and you're going to decide how you can explore and experience the world at large. Okay, so expansion energy coming through, definitely some world and wheel of fortune energy with that as well. That's everything for moss. It was a beautiful symbol. I did mention water too. So one thing that you might want to do is just spend time meditating near the element of water. If you're in an apartment or a city where you don't have access to that, you can take a bath, an Epsom salt bath. If you don't have a bathtub, you can even just sort of buy one of those little fountains where you can listen to the energy of water, because it creates movement. There is a sort of Zen quality, but also it allows for you to, even in your thoughts, start to go there and imagine that things are flowing and moving. So work with water, drink more water as well. That moves the energy through our body. Okay. The next thing that I want to focus on is something that came through in dreams and meditations for you. Last night, I met an old sort of teacher, boss, mentor type person that I haven't dealt with in probably 15 years. So this message has nothing to do with me or with that person. It has to do with you, because the type of work that they were talking about, I don't do anymore. So this person was requesting that I record my voice. And so for you, use your voice. People, and this was for a presentation. So if there's something that you're trying to convey, if you're trying to pitch an idea or a project, if you want to ask someone out, or if you're interested in kind of connecting with someone, all that matters is the tone of your voice. Yes, the research, yes, the words matter, but most importantly is the frequency of your communication. Some people just want to be around you to hear that warmth, that connection, that sort of that vibrancy that's in your voice. Don't underestimate the power of your voice. Use it. Speak up. So people want to hear it. When you use it, you're going to be more powerful. Even if you're doing a sort of like a PowerPoint presentation or something like that at work, make sure that you're pausing it and talking. Make sure that when there's an interview, that you're really looking at that person and making sure that they're hearing you, that the communication is getting across. But the power of the voice, for those of you that are singers, public speakers, or writers, this is also coming through. Not to underestimate the value of recording or speaking your own words, because that's going to be important too. So if there's an audiobook or something, make sure that you're the one that's doing that. Let others know that you're interested in more. What I saw happening in the dream was the person was undervaluing me. And so what I had to do was speak up. So on your behalf, I would say, ask for more. And then I got a heck of a lot more, almost too much. So be specific in what you're looking for, and don't be surprised when people say, okay, sure, we'll give you, let's give this a shot. You will never know until you ask. And this is the sort of frustrating piece sometimes too, when I'm in a coaching session. People will say, well, I'm traditional, particularly if I'm coaching for a woman and they're looking to date a man. They'll say, oh, I'm waiting for him to ask me out. That is so old school, so last century. If you're interested and you want to ask someone out, ask them out. If you're looking for a job and you're waiting or if you're looking to get tapped for the promotion at work, speak up. Don't wait to be acknowledged. A lot of times people need to sort of see that interest. In fact, that's one of the things on their checklist, to be outspoken, to be confident, to be ready. And if you're not, then they figure that you're not ready for that movement. So speak up. So whether you're, looking for someone of the same sex or different sex and you're waiting for them to ask you, it's old fashioned. Let's get past those old paradigms. And let's get past entitlement as well. Like, I deserve to be asked for this. There's other people that are asking. So be at the table and be even with that. And let's kind of get rid of those old sort of toxic labels and expectations. Everybody can do something if they put their mind to it. And if you're interested, don't demand it, just state interest. It doesn't have to be over the top or anything. And I think that's going to be really important. And you may get an experience that you didn't think that you would, whether it's love, work, or something else. Use your voice. It's powerful. And if you use the right tone as you're communicating, you'll be surprised at what's possible. Okay. The last piece, and this was sort of like whispered to me in my head as I woke up. My guides wanted me to remind you that a new day is awaiting you, a new dawn is awaiting you in particular. Have faith in those moments between night and morning. Now's the time to really take action and not hit the snooze button. This morning, I woke up right on time as I heard that. I'm like, okay, I got to get up. Some mornings it's harder. Today for you, Sagittarius, I had a lot to talk about and a lot to integrate and to bring across. And so there was no snooze button. And that's the message for you as well. That little piece here that's really, really powerful is have faith in those moments between night and day, or between, dusk and dawn, I would say. Sometimes when we can't see something, we lose faith in it. But that sun is rising. There's a new day coming. And so let's focus on the light and the potential of today and tomorrow, not the darkness of yesterday or last night. That was just something we had to move through to understand and to have context for this moment right here, right now. Okay. Now we're going to get into the reading of the cards here. So I just want to say thank you and welcome to everybody that's been present today and kind enough to share some of your time, your energy. I appreciate it. So let me get everything stacked up here, and let's focus on taking a look at the cards here and seeing what's coming through. If you just joined, again, you can use this for your sun, rising, moon, Venus. And honestly, if you're really well kind of adept at understanding your chart, any aspect of that. Also, the beginning of every reading is really welcome. Anybody's welcome to join it because I'm clairvoyant. I channel, I'm a medium, so I'll bring through the messages that you need. So with that being said, I'm going to go quiet here now and focus on the messages coming through. I just want to say a collective thank you for all of the stickers and super chat messages so far. I see them, I appreciate them, and they help me continue to buy supplies and be present. So I appreciate all of you. Okay, let's focus on the messages at hand. Okay, we have two sticking together here. I'm just going to let them both be. Actually, you have three. I'm going to let them be, but for some reason, we got a ton of cards sticking together. It's all in love, so we'll see what the messages are. All right, let's take a look and see what's coming through for everybody. All right, thanks for giving me a moment to get that all set up. Let's focus on your catalyst card here. We have dream redirection, redream the situation. One thing that I like to remind everybody of is that we are constantly creating our own truth. Our thoughts are alchemic, fancy word for meaning that they shape things around us. So allow them to shape or reshape your current situation, and never feel that you're completely stuck. And as we see here, this is sort of a new dawn rising here, and we see the sort of clouds and energy that I was just talking about from the night before. So allow your dreams to influence your reality. So we're talking not just about what comes through at night, but also kind of like on a soul level, what you truly want, what your dreaming, hoping, and trying to sort of breathe into fruition, just really make sure that you're putting some investment in those dreams and that you give yourself a chance to always move past, to transmute something. You're not stuck, basically, is what this card is saying. All right, let's take a look at all of the cards here in front of me. We have at the center, Two of Pentacles, which I talked about. So Two of Stones. But what's really cool with this is that we have two symbols of abundance, which you normally wouldn't see in a Two of Pentacles. And if we look really closely, it says challenge. And so for many of us, there's a challenge of time, energy, or resources at hand. We just need to figure out like what we want to do about it. And sometimes people are just there taxing or taking some of your time and energy. So this can be an unnecessary sort of argument, disagreement, or engagement of your time and energy. So you just want to figure out, is it worth it? And the other thing to remember here is that when you take one of these pentacles and put it to the side, you have an ace. So sometimes when you have two aces, you don't know what to focus on. But when you just have one, a single card, a single ace, you can do a better job. And that goes back to my channeled message around the simplification, the simple energy of moss, which is just saying, hey, let's focus on one thing. We have some moss here right around the stones, which is reminding us of that again. Okay. So I like what I see here. It's telling me that through focus, through simplification, you can have more than enough, and you probably can finish both of those things that you're trying to do. But I think you might have to focus one at a time, or this now and then that a little bit later. Okay. We have the Five of Arrows on top of this, Five of Swords. I really like this Five of Swords card because is it a goat or something in the center? I think he's able to get past all of these swords going past him, or arrows in this particular deck. And this is about avoiding unnecessary conflict. A lot of times with Five of Swords, we are stuck in a situation where the other person is not going to listen to us, won't let you kind of get a word in edgewise. And I would say that it's really important for you to kind of dodge those arrows. And that's what we see happening here. He seems unbothered, this goat. He's like, I'm going to get past this. This is not where I'm supposed to be. And that person can keep trying, but they're not going to get me. And I think that's a really important way to kind of look at the Five of Swords, is sometimes people are just trying to trigger or to somehow emotionally get under your skin. And you're going to remind them that I've seen the end of this script or this movie, and I'm not going to go there. Okay. You're going to elevate your words and actions as well. We see this animal kind of leaping through the air. So this isn't worth your time and energy. I honestly feel like that animal is leaping over these two jackrabbits here, is sort of saying enough is enough. So we're going to hop past that and get to the other side and get to the next piece of the puzzle. Because there's bigger and better things to do. I mentioned Six of Swords. It came through as well. So we have Six of Swords in the deep past. This is about travel, expansion. For some of you, it's overdue. You may know that you may have known that it's time to leave something for a while, but the action hasn't yet happened. So this also in the deep past shows a sort of shallow connection to something that you're currently attached to, job, relationship, or something else in your life. So take a look at it and think, why am I feeling this need to kind of like explore, to reach out, and what would happen if I did? And for many of you, this is also saying that there will be this opportunity to travel again or to explore again. I know that many of us have been impatient because of COVID-19, which has been going on for a long time now, about well over a year and a half. So I get it. Expansion can happen in different ways, and that's why I was talking about social media, your expanded network of friends and family across the world. You have more connections out there, and you don't have to like physically be there to make that connection. And one of the things that I love about what we do here every day is I see people from all across the world, from almost every continent, and that's humbling and awesome. And it's something that sometimes even I have to kind of take a moment and bring it all in and think like, this is kind of cool. So just know that you can do that. You can have an impact. You can reach out, you can do things, and it doesn't have to require hopping on a plane, a train, or some other form of transportation. All right. One last thing with this, there may be a sort of distance or separation from someone in your life. We'll look at it when we look at relationships, especially since we got all those cards that kind of clustered together. But for some of you, someone could be pulling back. If they are pulling back, I'm not a believer that you need to go chasing after someone. They may need that time. They may need that energy to grow, just like the spores kind of flying in the wind and finding a new place. So this person may be sort of finding their way. Let them find their way. You find your way as well. In recent past here, we have the page of swords in reverse. Cute little bird there, a wren, I guess. What I want you to focus on when we have swords reversed is active listening. I said your voice is important. I also think it's important to really understand what other people are saying, listen to them, and make sure that there's an exchange going through, an equal exchange, listening and speaking. I'm sure many of you have people in your life that you can tell when you're talking to them, that rather than engaging, having good eye contact, really listening, their mind's already working and they're thinking of what they want to say instead. So they're missing at least half of what you're saying. So if you catch that going on, you could just say, hey, wait a second. It looks like, are you all here? Do you have any questions? Because I really want to talk about this, but I need to make sure that what I'm saying making sense? Is it resonating? So make sure that you're not talking too much. Make sure that they get a chance. Make sure that they're also actively listening, and vice versa. Make sure that you've heard what they have to say. You can repeat it back afterwards in a very succinct way. Just say, if I'm correct, what you're really talking about is this. Is that right? And see if they agree. Getting to the point, which is what I'm going to do right now. That's also what the page is saying, like brevity. Okay. So to that end, I'm going to kind of move on to the next thing. One last little thing. Those of you that are starting to grow your clairaudience, your ability to hear spirit, or if you're working on this, it's not always a whisper or a voice in the ear. It oftentimes just comes through as a thought, or you hear the voice in your head, kind of like you have headphones on. Listen to that voice in your head that's telling you, hey, I should do this, or I probably shouldn't do that, particularly when it's something that you've kind of meditated on and you know it's spirit trying to put you in the right direction. All right. In this particular deck, the Guardian card here is the Devil. It's an interesting card because it's just bones. It's just a skeleton. And it's a reminder that sometimes we have to get that skeleton out of the closet. Everybody has one, or every family has one. And the sooner you can kind of see it, the less you're scared of it. If I saw this, unless it was animated and moving towards me, I would just be like, all right, it's a lot of bones here. Let's pick this apart one by one and understand what it is and why it's kind of scary. So I think that this particular Devil is saying that this card is saying that some of you just have something that you need to deal with, or you know that there's something. It's like an elephant in the room, to use a different metaphor. It's obvious, but it's not being spoken about. So whether it's a fear, like if you're in a company, it's a fear of being laid off. If you're in a relationship, it's a fear of commitment, or a fear of like how connected that person is. If it's your own sort of path, like you're a student and you're looking at this and thinking, I'm not sure if I'm happy with this direction. I feel like I've been pushed into it. Free will is missing from the Devil, generally speaking. And it's usually a bargain or an agreement that benefits the other person more than you. So whether you were coerced into doing something and you don't like it, or it no longer suits you and you want to release it, but you're holding on to it, something about like acknowledging what that is and just letting it go, I think is going to be super powerful. If there are any new agreements coming through this month, be super discerning and picky about them. Get a second set of eyes, a lawyer for sure, to look at that. So drafting up contracts, you want to be careful. Entering into new relationships, you want to be careful. Trying to get away with anything, don't expect that to happen. That skeleton's going to fall out of the closet. Okay, so be honest, be direct. Look at something and deal with it. The sooner you do that, the sooner the shackles disappear and better stuff comes through. All right. In the near future, we have the Seven of Pentacles, which I love. And isn't it really cool that in this deck, we have a very mossy green man or green woman healing the person? And I talked about moss being something that can heal. And whether it's moss or vines, whatever, there's a little bit of both on a green man or green woman. So take some time this month to heal. Seven of Pentacles, of course, can be something about money, but it's also health. So starting with health, if you've injured yourself, you need the rest. We see the person here laying down, taking care of themselves. So don't push yourself too much. If you have a cast, give it time to heal. Give whatever is broken time to heal. If you have just gotten through something difficult, a loss in your life, the Six of Swords can be death or losing something or someone, then you really want to make sure that you're giving yourself enough time to process what has happened, what has transpired. Ultimately, Seven of Pentacles is good. It shows me that you're trending in the right direction. When it comes to money and resources, I think what you want to focus on in the here and the now is not overextending. Like I said, a lot of the sevens can sometimes have you question your common sense or what you know to be true. So trust what you know you need to do. And if it feels like it's too much, it probably is too much. And many of you that are just recovering from, let's say, financial hardship, debt, or having less than enough, the Seven of Pentacles comes through as a hopeful omen, but also there sometimes to tempt us. It's the little bit of night before dawn that I was talking about. So you're thinking, oh my gosh, it's not working. Why is it taking so long? It is working, but like you can actually see the new day rising up in the background as well. It just takes time. If it took a while to get into a messy situation, it takes time to untangle it, right? So just give yourself time to remove all of those tangles. And we do have the devil card here in the crowning position. So some of you are in a limited thought process right now, or kind of going into reductive possibilities. So you're just making things kind of less than, and anchoring them down. So don't let that happen. I really believe in your potential, and that's why I'm here today. So just avoid that pitfall, and I think you're going to be okay. Let's look at your soul this month. When I'm looking at what's representing you, it's pretty darn good. We have the Eight of Cups. The Eight of Cups is a positive cycle. It's also making and breaking cycles. In love and relationships, this can be sort of like a nice predictable cadence, but it's not necessarily like a ring on the finger. So when it's a job, it would be sort of contract work without being fully hired. When it's a relationship, it could mean that you've been like engaged for 4 years, but there's no actual wedding date chosen. For other situations in your life, it could sort of be this feeling of like 1 foot in, 1 foot out, nothing really there. Non-committal is what I get with the Eight of Cups, but predictable and steady. So what you want to ask yourself is this cycle good for me? Do I like it? Or do I want to kind of stay where I'm at? Or am I holding on? Because that's why I was kind of getting that sense of not maybe enough for some of you, because this is holding on and this is steady, but we really want to get maybe to 9 or 10 of Cups to the next sort of part of this. You have a chance right now to heal an old relationship. The Eight of Cups can be someone from the past that's coming back, and you get a second chance with them. It doesn't even have to be from the past. It could just be someone that you get a second chance with. Six of Cups is usually more past, but Eight of Cups is something that you've not maybe done the way you wanted to, and it's coming around again. And so this time around, especially for any of you that might be in a Saturn return, this is the lesson that you need to learn, is sort of like, what do I want to do? How am I going to wrap this up? And so you get a chance to make it better. So make it better. Do what you want to do. Say what you want to say when we're talking about using your vocal cords this month, okay? I think that's super important. Ultimately, I like this card, and it's telling me stability. But you may want to kind of rock the tree a little bit, shake it up a little bit, and make some change. That's the only thing that I would say with that. We have the Ace of Cups sitting here right in the environment. There's definitely interest in you. Interest for work, interest for friendship, possibly interest for love. This is around you. It's a very positive card to have in the environment. Do you want that? Are you interested? More importantly, are you available? Are they available? These are the things to look at. We'll kind of dig deeper into that when I go specifically into relationships. But just as a single card and a single symbol, someone wants to get your attention. Someone's interested, and I like that. Also, it's showing how you are appearing to other people. And so for some of you, you're like this swan. You may not see the beauty that you have because you've grown and developed, but the other people do. So you're showing up as desirable and interesting. But do you see that? Do you find yourself desirable and interesting as well? Because others are seeing it possibly before you do and before you feel it. Okay. It's a good time to look for a new job. It's a good time to go out and try to negotiate or get something, because this shows that people are interested in you. You just need to make sure that if there is an agreement, that both parties are benefiting, that you are not getting the short end of that stick. All right. Knight of Wands here, Knight of Bows, we have the Fox. You're nobody's fool. And this is a really good card for you as well. Knights usually act with a code of conduct the way that I read them. They do the right thing. You know what's right to do. Wands is really about cognition. Usually I see swords as action on that, although this can be a nonverbal card that demonstrates it. So I want you to know it and then kind of like walk the walk. You don't necessarily have to argue your sort of way into something. You can just lead by example, because wands are very good for leadership. So lead by example, take that first step, keep following what you feel and see and know is right, because we have the Ace of Cups here. And then you're going to create a really great cycle. This is a creative card as well. So you can create a very positive cycle for yourself. We have the Green Man card reversed here in the outcome, and this is about reclaiming or regaining control. I'm glad that I chose this deck because I've forgotten all of the moss. This is definitely moss here. This could be vines here, but that's moss. So for you, this is a healing sort of thing to be able to go back and find your power, find your voice, and take a stand if you want to. There could be someone in your life, boss, parent, friend, that has this sort of nagging energy that we sometimes see with Emperor, Empress. And so this is the Emperor. So with the Emperor or the Green Man in reverse, there's someone there that is kind of stepping in and making you second guess your potential, your decision-making ability. So even if you've done everything right, this person will say, are you sure you can do that? Oh my gosh, have you heard about this? And all of a sudden, you kind of feel the heat rise within you. You think, oh my gosh, did something go wrong? Am I going to be able to? Take a deep breath, ground yourself, and say, well, look into that. Thanks for your feedback. I wasn't necessarily asking for it, but I appreciate it. And that's also a good way to let someone know maybe that they've crossed the line. Say, well, thank you. If I need some more information, I know who to go to. And then just sort of dismiss it. Don't get overly concerned. If you've done your work and you know what you're supposed to be doing, honestly, it's no one's business except your own, right? So let these sort of busybodies get busy in their own sort of energy. There's also a reverse piece to this, which is you want to avoid the same energy. So sometimes as a teacher, parent, boss, or friend, we think we know what's best for someone else. Let that other person figure some things out for themselves, unless they're in absolute danger of personal harm or something. A mistake is good. You learn from it. You could say, hey, if you ever want to talk about this, I have some insights, but then step back and let them kind of go down the path themselves. It's more powerful to allow the person to come to you, because then they know that they want it and you know that they want it, and there's going to be something really positive that comes from that exchange. Okay. Let me take a quick drink, and then we're going to expand the forecast to look at health, wealth, love. We've got a lot to talk about with love because we have the Ace of Cups and 3 cards stuck together, so I'm interested. And then, of course, destiny. How's everybody doing today? I hope you're doing well. Okay, let's focus now on your health card. This is mind, body, and spirit. We have the Mountain card here, and it says strength on here. So a lot of times, if you've ever done hiking or any sort of, just climbed a hill, it feels like it's impossible to get up there. About midway through, you think you're going to quit, and all of a sudden, once you've gotten past that halfway point, there's no choice but to finish. Why would you go in the opposite direction? Just get to the other side here. So I think for many of you, you could find yourself at that midpoint thinking, well, I could just go back, or I could get to the peak and see what this is all about. So I want you to keep pushing. Yes, it's difficult, but that's actually how strength training works. So you challenge your body a little bit first, and you start to get stronger. You don't climb a mountain in a day either. So this is something that you could try a little bit each day, pacing yourself, getting a little bit further toward that goal, toward whatever it is you're trying to do. And you'll eventually be able to climb this mountain. You have the strength to do it, okay? Think of 10 of Wands. Takes that person a while, and depending which deck you're looking at, sometimes they're at the beginning, sometimes they're at the top, sometimes they're coming down the hill. So all of you may be at different points of that journey. So take a moment to just commend yourself on continuing to push. And this card is saying, don't give up, all right? Some of you may be neglecting just health and well-being, particularly sort of muscle mass. And we're not looking for like big muscles, just sort of like making sure that you're strong enough. So take care of yourself. Include some exercise in there. Talk to your doctor always. This is just about sort of energy here, but when it comes to your body, to your diet, to your health, you should always work with the proper professional. But what I'm seeing here is that some minor strength building, even like something using swimming, if that's something that works for you, could help out, because we talked about water earlier. All right, let me go specifically into the cards and see if there's any additional messages coming through. Whenever I see a balance card, I have to mention that. So the 2 of Pentacles is a balance card, but typically this one is less about inner ear, and it's more about work-life balance, and that you're out of balance. And when you're out of balance, any number of things can happen, from getting cold to maybe tripping and falling or other things. So find the balance of self-care, of progress, and all of those things that you need to be happy. And I think that that's really, really important here. The other thing here is, if there's someone in your life that, I feel like the 5 of Swords and the Emperor reversed, it's probably the same person. So there's someone that's maybe bossy, maybe not letting you do what you want. You can't make them happy. Just time to step away from that. Definitely time to step away from that energy, which we see here. Okay. The devil card here is knowing what you need to change, but maybe not being fully ready to admit it to yourself. So talk to someone if you're afraid of what that might mean for you. Usually someone else can give you more perspective, ground you, and make you not feel so afraid. It's okay to feel afraid. Everyone does from time to time. Knowledge is the number one way to diffuse fear. When you understand something, it's harder to be afraid of it, right? When you have support, whether it's a friend, a family member, or a professional, you no longer feel alone. So that isolation is gone. So you have support, you have information, you have encouragement. Suddenly the devil starts to shrink and dissolve. So I think that's what I would say with that. But some of you might be trying to end a pattern of, addiction or fear or anxiety. And again, all of the things we just talked about can help you break that cycle and make a new one. Love may be knocking on the door, and this could be scaring some of you too. So we'll be looking at that in just a few minutes here. So don't be afraid of that. I would say just take time this month. The most important thing is just to heal yourself, which I mentioned in the totem of moss. And it's so interesting here that we have a healing person coming through with moss all over them saying, hey, take it slow, keep it simple, one step at a time. Okay, welcome to the new channel members, and thank you so much for everybody that's showing support. I appreciate it. Okay, let's move along to your wealth card now. Discovering the truth, which is what we've been kind of talking about quite a bit today. You stand in the light of truth, and when you do, it's going to be all right. It's when we are uncertain or kind of like telling that lie to ourselves that it's going to be okay when we know it's not going to be okay. That's the only time that things start to kind of like build up. So truth, information, facts. This is where the power is when it comes to money and career in particular. So some of you may be in a situation where you knew something was wrong. So we'll start with those of you that are working. So this to me is not the best leadership. It feels like you might be in a place where people aren't telling the truth, the complete truth, or supporting or empowering you in the way that you need to be empowered. So use your voice and speak up. And if that doesn't change, it is time to move on. I also feel like some of you may need more abundance because of changes in your life, maybe because of the changing world, because of inflation, all of that. So this card is about being really not just sort of like realistic about your budget, but also outspoken if there's something that you need. Seven of Pentacles usually means that you can trim. So look at the parts of your life. Now we're looking at everybody's money, not just those that are working, but look at your life and think, do I really need this? How much am I using that? Is there a less expensive version of this? Snip, snip, snip. Let's prune a little bit so that some growth can come through so that you can breathe a little bit. Maybe you decide to move to reduce your costs because or cash out on some equity. It's actually a good time to sell a house. So cash out on some equity and decide to downsize. And then that way you have extra cash. You're probably still going to make some money on the property and then you have extra. So think about what you can do to be intelligent about pruning and still having a little bit extra. Because usually with Seven of Pentacles, you can do that. You can actually, if you can't get that extra money from somewhere else, you can find it somewhere else in your own life, or you can reduce the what you're putting out, the output, so that you have more that you can do with what you're getting. Let me see if there's anything else. Please, I hope you love what you're doing. If you're not, this is a time to kind of dig a little deeper into that passion. And I really do think that people could be underestimating your value. That was the direct message in my dream. What I was saying, and that's not me because I'm not doing any of that anymore, but Spirit spoke through a kind of mirror of me and it said, you're not using all of my capacity. I'd like to do this, this, and this. So say that if you want to someone else, because they probably know it too. And they'll close their eyes for a second like this fox and think, all right, let's try this. You could even say, give me a shot on this and let's see what happens with that. For those of you that are retired, the devil card can sometimes show stagnation or clinging to something. We have a lot of cards here about travel, outreach, and exploring new things. So don't be afraid to try something different. Mix it up a bit. I think across the board with wealth, with career, with money, if something's stagnating or not working, don't hold on to that forever. Look at something else. Don't act in a fear-based manner, however. You've got to be educated about the decision, but there's actually a lot that came through with money. The truth, just get to the bottom of it and know that that's going to lead you to better things. All right, I'm going to take another drink here because we have a lot of cards to look at when it comes to love. Love is not just who you're in love with. It's also all relationships, since hopefully you're working with the energy of love. After we look at the 3 cards, which ostensibly are going to be past, present, and future because I got 3, I will look at those of you in love, looking for love, or single and happy, or retired and happy. So give me a second here and we'll take a look here. So first card, and they're all reversed, so I'm just going to flip them around and we'll talk about how to achieve the energy of them. So we have slowing down, beautiful card. Look at that illustration. I need to put my glasses on for this and I'll hold it back up, but the text on this one is super small. When you're excited, you get ahead of yourself. Take time to allow things to unfold. And we see that sort of labyrinthine energy as the people are kind of falling into love, but kind of getting lost in love, right? We have Piscean energy up here with the 2 fish. So some of you may actually have just connected with Pisces. Definitely Piscean energy there. But the main thing here is to take it easy. Don't get ahead of yourself. Don't get ahead of the other person, and don't get lost in love, because those beautiful locks are creating a sort of, like a puzzle that they're going to have to get through, or a maze. Take some time. I like that. So that's the past influence, a tendency to get ahead of yourself. And then the next piece says the only thing that is real is love. I agree with that. Shift your focus from the problem back to love. So if you're having difficulties in a relationship, remember why you first were interested in being in that relationship or friendship or situation. Do you still like something about it? If not, then it's time to move on. But if you can find a way to elevate it and use love as the lingua franca, as the way of speaking to that person or working through it, then I think things are going to be okay. All right. So slow down and elevate and get back into the energy of, this is important because I care about you. So rather than saying I hate you, which sometimes we feel, right? Because someone makes us kind of get upset, say, I care about you a lot and it hurts me when you do this. That makes me angry and it makes me feel and say things that I don't want to do. Much stronger than I hate you, right? Because it's saying I care about you and you're hurting me. Why are you doing that? I don't have to put up with this. That's a way that you can express dislike, distrust, all of that. Express what it is that's creating the sort of like whatever it is, the wedge between the two of you. And then we have look at your relationship patterns. Look at your pattern in relationships. It says it requires inner strength to recognize that you need to change or modify your behavior. That very much is in alignment with the Devil card and the Ace of, not the Ace of Cups, but the 8 of Cups. So 8 of Cups is cyclical, and this card literally called out the cycles. And what we see in the environment is the Love card. So before you step into a new opportunity, make sure that you evaluate cycles to ensure that you've overcome the old cycles. This really hits for everybody in life, and again, any type of relationship. So just a quick past, present, future, and then I'm going to look at in relationships, looking for relationships, or not focused on relationships. So slow things down. Make sure that you're using love to connect to and inspire that other person, and make sure that there's not a repeating pattern, okay? Now, let's look at, for those of you that are looking for love, I already got a sign, and it was in this, Pisces. So there may be a very strong water sign or someone with a Pisces placement. It came through in this card. So more about that in a second. If you're looking for love, I would say, again, there could be someone that you're already, there may be an on and off. This can sometimes come through when there's sort of someone that you occasionally are in a relationship with, but then out of a relationship with, and it's on and off, or they could be trying to get out of a relationship, or you're just getting out of a relationship. I want you to make sure of a few things if you're going to enter into love this month. You are fully ready and available. So is your partner. Make sure that both of you are bringing sort of unburdened or clean energy into this, as clean as possible. Nobody's perfect. And make sure that you have the same things that you're looking for, because sometimes someone says that they want something, but they don't. So just make sure that you're looking for the same things. Also, do you have the time and energy to manage this new relationship? Because you may not. Communication with the new partner could be dicey. Pay attention to that. Don't be afraid to speak your truth or to speak up. And we do also get a fiery energy coming through for some of you as well. Hopefully that's kind of like your own inner fire, but it could be another like fire sign coming through. So with the Knight of Wands here, one thing that there is kind of that I'm picking up on this is both parties may think that they know what's best. And I definitely get that with the Emperor, the Green Man reversed. So open yourself up to listen to the other person. Make sure that you're both available. Make sure that you're both on the same page. All of those things are going to be important. It's a little bit tricky, but I feel like you can work this out. The partner may be coming from a different culture, a different country than you, even if they live in the same place. So there might be some cultural differences as well. A lot of interesting stuff there. If you happen to be in a current marriage relationship or long-term sort of engagement, I think the most important thing is to make sure that you're validating why you're in it, because the devil comes through sometimes when we feel like we're stuck. You're never truly stuck. Or if you are kind of tied to someone for a certain reason, try to find a way to make sure that you have that resource or option available to you so that you're staying with the person for love. There's something that you need to talk about. The devil can just be a secret. So get that secret out of the closet and talk to the person about whatever it is. Ultimately, we do have a love card here. So that's good. And I feel like you can find your way to it. I do get a healing card, but it requires taking accountability and action, and both partners need to do that. So if that happens, I feel pretty good about it. If you're in a pretty happy place, I would say open up. There's a chance just for opening in general with the devil card. So open up. There could be a Capricorn too. I forgot to mention that. So maybe there's the Capricorn energy can be controlling. I have that in my ascendant. So I know when I'm organized with things, sometimes I have to have things a certain way. So there could be that kind of energy coming through as well. If you're single and happy right now, I think it's actually a perfect time to be single and happy. I think you should be focusing primarily on your personal health and your financial health. That's the thing that wants to come through. And the good news is I feel like there's a really good chance that you're going to get control over both of those things. You still are going to have a great opportunity to partner up. You could develop friendships right now. And I think you should focus on that, as I said earlier. So networking and friendships. There may be some people that just share a very common interest with you. If you're retired, for instance, this could be joining some sort of a club where you just talk about things, or an activity where you're really kind of on the same page. So I like that. Friendships come through really strong. Financial and personal health come through really strong if you're single and happy. All right. That's everything for relationships. We spent a little more time today because I got so many cards, but I honor what comes through. All right. We have a beautiful card here in your destiny placement. It's the Owl Spirit. And it says basically, you see clearly now, as I take my glasses off. So yes, you see clearly now. I want you to really trust in what's coming through. The interesting thing with an owl, though, is it sees better at night, right? Because I think the eyes are a little bit more attuned to that. So pay attention to what comes through in dreams and meditations. Pay attention to the little things that you would otherwise overlook. Also, allow your sort of extrasensory perception to come through. Owls, I think, have good hearing as well. But I want you to really kind of tune into what's going on. Wisdom and knowledge came through really strong here. So the truth, when we were looking at money and wealth, and now here just as an overall spirit, the owl, which is basically clarity. So get clear on what you're trying to do and then go after it. It's a bird of prey. It's not something that sits idly. It's, in fact, I don't know if it's an apex predator, but it's pretty high up there. Owls and eagles are pretty much able to fend for themselves. So you're kind of at the top of that particular food chain. So focus on going after what you want. I definitely saw that coming through, and it looks like this owl has a little crown that's painted. So absolutely, if you think you can go after something, you have a really good chance of getting it. You may be surprised when it happens, but maybe not, because we've talked today and you're ready for that. I just want to pull a card out here real quick and write down a couple of things that we can focus on for the next portion. So after I do a mini recap here, I'm going to look at some things that we might want to focus on that aren't in the cards. So I'd like to do a quick audit. We definitely have Wands and Swords. We have Pentacles. We have Cups. I feel like we have everything represented pretty nicely. I want to talk about the Guardian or the Devil card here. So what is the limiting factor? So let's just look at the Devil card and see what the message is. What's limiting, or what needs to be revealed? Because usually it can be a revelation card. Okay, and for the healing energy, I'm really curious about the Seven of Pentacles. So where can the healing take place? How can you step more into it? It'll give us a little bit more about abundance too, and we can see what that is. And then I always let the third one kind of be a wild card. Okay, so I'm going to do a mini review, and then we're going to move into that. This will only take a couple minutes, and then we'll look at those questions that I just scribbled down. So stick around, and a quick mini review for anybody that joined late. Also just helps me kind of get really clear before we go into the soul path. So your spirit totem today was moss, a very ancient symbol. First plant on Earth. It evolved from algae. And interesting thing is it's been through almost every type of life form that's walked on the surface of the planet has walked on moss. 450 million years, up to 25,000 species. It's live on every continent, including Antarctica. And it has a lot of positive effects on this planet, from preventing erosion to helping clear up the air, getting rid of some of the carbon energy that we put out there. It's sort of interesting because it has contradictory features. Yes, it's grounded, it's on trees, it's on rocks, it's on the earth, but it has a shallow rhizoid or root type system. I put roots in parentheses because they're not true roots. So basically that just means that it's a shallow grounding. So you want to truly ground yourself. Make sure that you've done proper self-care, that you're getting enough sleep, that you're taking care of your body. Without mental, physical, and spiritual health, everything else gets off kilter, and you have a tendency sometimes to kind of overreact or lose your balance, as we saw at the center. Spend extra time also kind of just getting comfortable with a new situation. Make sure you've done your homework before you step into something, because people may be trying to trigger you. And we saw that with the Five of Swords here, or Five of Arrows. Even as a skilled intuitive, you're not going to predict everything that happens, but you can trust that you've done enough work to be prepared. And then you're just going to do your best to kind of go with the flow, go in the moment, right? The simplicity of moss is something that we really want to embrace. I think this month that by simplifying, doing less, but doing it better, you're going to be okay. And we've got the Two of Pentacles, which underlines that sort of principle. Don't spread yourself too thin. I think that's the key thing here. Moss is a healing agent. In fact, in the past, in the First World War, it was used to help dress and heal wounds. You can focus on healing as well. We've got it right here, including the moss and the healing in the Seven of Pentacles. Relationships can also benefit from this healing, so feel free to step into that if you'd like to. All right. Most species of moss will require the wind and sometimes also water to help make sure that they're spreading and growing again. So I think that dispersion through the air is something that we want to focus on. We've got it here with the Six of Swords here. So it might be a time to look around, to go beyond the borders of your own backyard, to find something new, whether it's a new relationship, a new job, or a new opportunity. People are interested in what you have to say and literally are interested in the frequency of your voice, so use it. People may need to know what you're interested in. Until you state an interest, how are they going to know? Make sure you speak up. And basically, I'm just restating that here. A new day, a new dawn is approaching. Don't be afraid if you're not getting immediate kind of gratification or acknowledgement of what's going on. You have to keep faith in those moments right before a new day breaks. This is the time to wake up, to take the action, and to do the work. Keep dreaming, keep adjusting your dream. We don't have to sort of stick with what we thought we were going to do as a 10-year-old. We're allowed to continue to reimagine what our future is in every decade of our life. So keep on growing, keep on moving, keep on reforging and dreaming and evolving that dream. Two of Pentacles, balance. Keep the balance, be smart about it, do less, but do it better. Don't get involved in conversations that aren't worth your time. Don't let people try to paint you into a corner that you don't want to be in. There's an overdue change for many of you. Hopefully what we've talked about today gives you the power and energy to make that change. Speak up. Listen, but also don't be afraid to speak your mind, especially if something's not right. This is a time to end the old cycles that are no longer helping you. It's a time to bring things into the light, especially if there's something that needs to be said or heard, as indicated by the Devil card here. Healing is possible. Be realistic. Again, with the resource cards here, if you actually add these together, it puts you into a good place. 7, 8, 9, you've got the Nine of Pentacles. So once you start to do less but do it better, more abundance will come through to your life. Love is coming in here. We've got patterns, though, that might be blocking the love or bringing the love in. There may also be sort of a need to just take it slow and steady, as we saw with this card here. So this is a cyclical energy that doesn't immediately go into something really serious. So take your time, whether it's a new job or a new relationship, it needs time to grow. We see people interested in spending time in your around you and also investing in you. So this is a good sort of indicator. I want you to lead by example, trust your insights, and realize that in relationships, there could be two bosses here. We have the Knight of Wands here and also a very controlling Green Man or Emperor card reverse. So two people may be thinking that they're doing something the right way. There needs to be a middle ground somewhere. Looking at health this month, you don't climb a mountain in a day. Take your time. If things seem overwhelming, ask for some help. You don't have to carry that burden on your own. The other health cards are slow and steady healing. It takes time to get into a mess. It takes time to get out of it. So give yourself time to do just that. Also, just kind of fully looking at what it is that scares you, what you need to change, talking about that skeleton in the closet. We're going to look at that in just a second here. The truth will set you free, particularly when it comes to money, work, finances, and life purpose. I see growth and healing possible, but again, there's something limiting you. So we're going to look at this in a second to see what the limiting factor may be. Relationships, actually pretty good this month overall. Just a couple of messages again to slow things down, to focus on love as the main message, and to also look at your patterns, which we just talked about. So all of those are great messages really for all times, I would say, not just this month. And then availability, honesty, and just sort of really being in the moment, I think, are key here, because the Devil card has some limiting factors. There could be a Capricorn coming in. I saw Piscean energy as well. So let's just see what it is when we look at the Devil in a second, and I'll get some more clarity on that. But just be honest. I think that's the key thing this month. And then finally, trust what you're being shown and what you see yourself. It's valid, and it's going to lead you into a better situation. All right, let's get into the soul path. Let's focus on why did the Devil card come up? What is the message? What is limiting us? How can we reveal something if something needs to be revealed? Let me shuffle the cards and take a look at that. All right, we have the Nine of Wands, respect, indeed. So some of you may feel like there is someone in your life that is pushing you or not respecting you, or may even be verbally kind of putting you in a place where you don't want to be, putting you down, pushing you, or verbally abusing you. So this is your chance to reclaim the power. That person may be in the past, they may be in the present, but you're going to stand up for yourself now. The Nine of Wands is a survivor, is capable of doing exactly what they put their mind to, has not met their 9 lives. If we're thinking of a cat, you have what it takes to get to that next level. So I want you to push, and I want you to push right back and say no. This is a card where you stand your ground. Usually in a traditional Rider-Waite-Smith deck, you would see all the wands behind the person. They're kind of holding onto one, and they have a bandage on the top of their head, their forehead. But it's shown that they've been through sometimes a difficult time, but they're kind of standing there and saying, no, I'm going to continue. I'm going to finish what I've started. So finish what you've started, stand up for yourself, and push back if anybody's trying to step in there and who disrespects you, for sure. Those are the main messages with that, with the Devil card. As I look at this one too, a couple of other messages as we look at this. This Devil is actually guarding a portal. So it's trying to scare you away. Hey, Apollo. It's trying to scare you away from a potential opportunity in your life. Don't be afraid of that opportunity. Look beyond the fear, look beyond the question marks. And a lot of times just not knowing can be what kind of holds us back. So I see a door that's already open that needs to be explored, but I see something trying to hold you back. Sometimes it's a person in your life, right? They don't want to really see you get to that next level, okay? Let's look at healing and bringing in more abundance, because we have the 7 of Pentacles that I wanted to kind of base this question off of. So let's see here. All right, 4 of Pentacles, protection. This is a really interesting card, especially when we're looking at another Pentacles card. So we see a little doe here, a little tiny deer saying, hey, I'm a little bit afraid of getting out there, of exploring. I want to be where it's safe. The 4 of Pentacles is traditionally showing a coin over the heart space, right? And this one is saying that sometimes you think you might not be enough, right? So we see this sort of foundational energy, which you could see the Four Pentacles as foundations of something newer and better, but you can also have it as a limiting factor. So I want you to just say, I've done the work, I've set up the foundations. I may not have everything that I need, but I'm going to take a chance. I'm not going to worry. I'll let other people let me know what's going on, but I'm going to imagine that I can do this, that I have more than enough. Okay. Let's see. Somebody said, no, I'm really in a great mood. So I want people to try to not kind of project energy out here. So I'm having a great day here, and I hope you are too. I would say one thing that's really important for you is to focus on the messages here. The Four of Pentacles card can be a limiting or a sort of reductive card. And I want you to focus on making sure that you're opening your heart and opening your mind to the possibilities. And with this, there is this sort of like growth takes time, and we see sort of a little baby here in the center of this card. So nurture whatever it is you're trying to create or trying to put into the world. Really allow for that to kind of take birth and take root. I think that that's key. So it takes time. That's one thing that I like to say here is not to rush, not to push too much. So to that person that was mentioning that, I love Sagittarius for the record. My father was a Sagittarius. So anyway, let's look at more of these. And also my grandmother was too, and I have a placement in it. So let's not get crazy and project stuff out there. All right, let's focus now on just the future here, a wild card. Okay. We have the Eight of Arrows here. So a lot of times with the Eight of Arrows, you want to focus on not sort of being afraid of what is unseen. We talked about this earlier. It can be something, Eight of Swords, by the way. So Eight of Swords can be sort of like this prison that we create for ourselves. And it can be a prison of fear or comfort, which we just saw. So you got to get out of your comfort zone. That's one message here. And this is a very hermit-like Eight of Swords. You have exactly what you need to figure out how to get out of the situation. So I would say for the future for you, it's never completely clear, but as long as you're following your heart, following the patterns of growth, allowing for yourself to explore, I think you're going to be fine. What I see this month for you, Sagittarius, is this sort of wanderlust. You want to get into new horizons. There could be something around comfort and predictability that might hold you back a little bit. Don't let it hold you back. What we ultimately see for you in the environment right now is this expansive energy of love. Lean into the love, allow yourself to grow and to heal. And I see some really great things coming through for you. Mostly this month, you're really starting to find your voice, find your power, and trust your knowledge and trust your internal sort of know-how. All of these things are fantastic. So let's get into the meditation. We're going to use moss in this, and then we're going to answer your final question. So at this point, I'd like you just to relax for a second. The meditation is brief but important. It allows us to sort of let go of old stuff, let go of the old patterns, and to bring in abundance. So we're going to imagine that beautiful moss all around us, that emerald color, that green color, bringing in healing and bringing in love, because love wants to come through for you. So let's imagine that you are in a magical forest, that you're in the middle of the trees here, just enough so that you can see the clearing above you, and that there's this blanket of moss in the center portion. So you can see the rising sun, beautiful rays of light coming down in this clearing, moss everywhere, soft enough that you can just lay down on it. So just allow yourself to be supported on this pillowy blanket of moss, closing your eyes for a moment, taking a deep breath, exhaling. Perfect. I'd like for you now to imagine that you could just start to absorb this beautiful green energy around you. Almost imagining that you have the capacity to drink it in through your skin, and that this beautiful green energy is coursing through your body, really starting to open up the heart space. And in this moment, you feel the love of the forest around you. You feel loved by nature. You feel a part of something bigger than your sort of day-to-day life. You realize that you're anything but small. You're expansive. As your heart starts to open up, it turns from emerald to this bright green to a beautiful golden energy. And you're starting to meet the frequency of the sun above you. And in this moment, you start to feel a lightness of being, and it starts to lift you up. All the little fingers and all the sort of energy of the moss is starting to kind of push you up, saying you can do it. And you start to rise up into the sky, now just this beautiful sort of circle of light, matching the energy of the sun, and taking a look at the planet for this moment. Looking at things that you have done, things that you want to do. You're looking across time, across space. And I want you now to shine your rays onto parts of your life that you want to improve, and see yourself really focusing on one thing that you want to bring into fruition. I'm going to play the singing bowl for a moment, then I'll answer your question. But in this moment, I just want you to focus on imagining that what it is that you want, it's starting to happen, and you're starting to nurture that. And just like the little baby on the Four of Pentacles, it's starting to grow. All right, just focus on that for a moment, and I'll be right back afterwards. All right, let's take a nice deep breath together. Exhale. If there's anything or anyone in your life that you need to allow for some sort of a release to happen with, just imagine that you now have the power to do that as this sort of resplendent, almost solar-like energy that you have up here like a deity in the sky. Just imagine that you could take the cords that connect you and push light through them, reducing them to just dust. And just like the archer that you are, you can aim towards what it is that you want in your life and see energy starting to take root there, seeing things starting to take form. So use that energy, use that alchemic energy of releasing and also creating to really make this an amazing 6 to 8 weeks ahead of you. Allow now for this beautiful light to come back into your body, pulling it into your heart center, allowing it to melt there, and remembering that you have the power, the capacity, and the wisdom to do anything that you put your mind to. Okay? Just a fun fact, because someone in the comments was talking about Sagittarius. And I do have a placement, but I had to remember here. I believe, let's see, I have my Sagittarius is in Neptune for me, which is a really interesting placement. But yes, I have Sagittarius in Neptune. Okay, let's take a look at your final question for me. I would like you to think of something that you need some assistance with in your life, whatever it might be, and just focus on it. Don't type it out. Hold it in your heart, hold it in your mind, and let me answer that question for you. Okay, we have a great card here, Six of Pentacles, more than enough. The card was reversed, but let's take a look at it just for a moment. One thing that you want to be mindful of with Six of Pentacles in your life when weighing any decision is making sure that you are not going overboard or that you're not getting sort of less than you need. Typically with this, you would see someone with coins that they decide whom to give these coins to, and they also have a scale in their hands. And I believe that we don't have the scales, but we have, these people are kind of waiting to receive. So this is from the perspective of the people, and you are the Six of Pentacles person in this one. So you're the one that decides who. We already see a bunch of people, a bunch of opportunities knocking on your door. So it is a good opportunistic card. It's also a balanced card. In some levels, I actually prefer the Six of Pentacles to the Seven because the discernment is already in the card. So continue to understand that everything that you spend time kind of like doing and everyone that you spend time with, that is sort of an exchange. Is it an even exchange? If it isn't, are you okay? Are you getting something else because of this sort of exchange? That's the main thing here. You can do anything you want, but you have to focus on the exchange. And if someone isn't returning it or has repeatedly underappreciated, undervalued you, then this is a time to sort of push back on that. So Six of Pentacles is a curious card because it basically is a yes, but there are a lot of sort of constraints on that yes. It should be balanced, it should be even, there should be reciprocity, and you can't do everything that you want at the same time. There is a sort of an importance here that you have to adjust the timing, the scope, or the sort of how much you want to spend on it. Something has to give, but you can probably do everything you want, just not at the same time, not at the same scale, and maybe not for the same price that you thought you could. So it can be done, but choices have to be made. And that's basically what we see with this. Choices, timing, patience, but pretty much everything that you want, I see it coming through for you, okay? There can also be a timeline of like 6 months, okay? Depending on how much you decide to put into it, maybe, yeah, three to 6 months, I would say on this one. All right, so hopefully that helps you. And I hope you enjoyed today. I certainly enjoyed reading for you and really thought some beautiful healing messages came through. Before we wrap up, let me do a quick review of the soul path. You can do this. This is the survivor card. You have everything that it takes to get to the next level. Don't hold back. Do, however, nurture yourself. Do continue to take steps in that, in whatever direction you want to. This is an investment card. You want to kind of invest and put new things into whatever new path it is that you want to create. And then the understanding what it is that's limited you before will allow you to just kind of step away from that. Some decks, you'll see this as like a cage with the bird already gone. So like open the cage, fly. That's really what you want to do. And that's what I'm kind of visually seeing with the 8 of Swords. And then finally with the 6 of Pentacles, whatever you put your mind to, you can do. But there are some constraints and some decisions that you need to make in order to really successfully accomplish that. All right, everybody, before we wrap up, if you liked today's reading, I see we have roughly half, but if you could hit a thumbs up before you leave, you can only do it once, but it helps with discovery. Costs absolutely nothing. It's the same as just clapping your hands. So if you could just hit the thumbs up once, I'd love it. If you enjoyed this and you want to see me again, hit the subscribe button. If you want to get notifications, you can click the bell. Subscribe doesn't entail any cost. It's just a way to follow. On replay, you can hit the thanks button here to give back a little bit. Thank you to everybody that was kind enough today to show support through Super Chat. I do appreciate that. If you'd like to follow me on social media, you can do so here. I'm Nicholas Ashbaugh on almost everything. I will post those little cards that I wrote on Instagram, Facebook, and on the community tab here. I do a once a week reading on TikTok. I also do lives on Instagram. I just did one yesterday, and you can watch that on replay. Twitter, I will remind you what I'm doing each day, and I'll also do sub-tweets for all of the channeled messages. So it's worth following me if you haven't done that already. And that's pretty much everything, everyone. Thank you so much. I also have a book if you happen to like fantasy and science fiction. It's right there behind me, the luminous ones. You can click on the pinned link in my comment up above and check out more of that. Thank you, everybody, for those of you that are just giving back. I appreciate Aaron and Ruby. I know we had 2 new channel members today, so welcome to them. Thanks, Cherokee. Thanks to, I can't pronounce that name correctly, but thank you to everybody that was kind enough to do this. Tasha, welcome as a channel member. I'm going to have to put my glasses on. I wanted to take a minute at the end to say thanks here. I think it's Vritti. Is that right? I'm not going to butcher all of these names if I can't pronounce it. Sammy and Shirley and Emily and Paula and Elska and everybody else, and also Sharon, welcome. I think I covered just about everybody. If I forgot your name or couldn't pronounce your name, I still saw that you were here. I think the other one's Kasani. So thank you to everybody that was present today that gave back a little bit. I appreciate you. I see you. And I do look at all the comments later. So hope to see you back tomorrow. I'll be reading for Capricorn. I can't wait to see the messages that come through for Capricorn. So have a great day, everyone. Thanks to Maria. She was a great assistance today. She always is. She's my moderator. Take care and have a great day. All right, everyone. Bye-bye.